The Galactic Council had seen many species rise and fall across the spiraling arms of the Milky Way, but none had prepared them for humanity's peculiar gift. Dr. Lyra Chen knelt in the crystalline snow of Fenrir 7, her pale hands pressed against the massive form of the dying Lupari warrior. The alien's silver fur was matted with purple blood, his breathing shallow and labored. Around them, the rest of the Lupari pack maintained a respectful distance, their luminescent eyes watching with mixture of suspicion and desperate hope. "The human cannot help him," growled Commander Vex, his mechanical translator rendering his words into flat, emotionless syllables. "Our healers have failed. Our technology has failed. He dies with honor as warriors do." Lyra didn't respond. Instead, she closed her eyes and began to sing. The song had no words, it didn't need them. It was ancient, primal, something that lived in the DNA of every human who had ever looked up at the moon and felt something stir in their chest. It was the sound of mothers comforting children, of lovers separated by war, of hope flickering in the darkest night. The Lupari pack shifted uneasily. Their ears flattened against their skulls, then perked forward. Something in the sound touched them in ways their advanced civilization had long forgotten. Lyra's voice rose and fell like waves, like wind through trees, like the howl of wolves across tundra. Her breath created small clouds in the freezing air, and still she sang. Her hands glowed with a soft, pale light, not from technology, but from something the galactic medical community had only recently begun to understand. The human bioelectric field, amplified by emotion and focused by intention. The wounded Lupari's eyes flickered open. His chest, which had been still, began to rise and fall with more strength. The purple blood ceased flowing from his wounds. "Impossible," Vex whispered, his translator almost failing to capture his shock. The thoracic cavity was compromised. The neural pathways were severed. "This violates every law of biology we know." But Lyra kept singing and the wounded warrior kept healing. 3 hours later, as Fenrir 7's twin suns began to set, the Lupari warrior sat up fully. His wounds had closed, leaving only faint scars beneath his silver fur. The pack erupted in howls, a sound that shook the snow from nearby trees and echoed across the frozen valley. Lyra slumped backward, exhausted, her white hair plastered to her forehead with sweat despite the cold. Commander Vex caught her before she fell. "What are you?" he asked, his voice filled with something that might have been fear or might have been reverence. "Just human," Lyra whispered, her voice hoarse from singing. "We call it empathy, connection, love maybe. Your people forgot what it feels like, didn't you? When you became civilized, when you built your ships and your weapons and your vast empire, you forgot how to feel for each other." Vex was silent for a long moment. Around them, the Lupari pack continued their celebratory howling, their voices intertwining in complex harmonies that seemed to make the very air vibrate. "My people were once like you describe," Vex said finally. "Thousands of years ago, before we reached the stars. We had rituals, songs, bonds that went beyond logic. We called them primitive. We evolved past them." He looked down at the healed warrior who was now being mobbed by his grateful packmates. "We thought we had evolved past them." "You didn't evolve past them," Lyra said, struggling to her feet. "You just buried them. Deep down, Commander, you're still the same species you were then. You still feel. You just forgot how to listen to what you feel." The healed warrior approached, moving with fluid grace despite his recent brush with death. He pressed his forehead against Lyra's, a gesture of profound respect among his kind. "Thank you, Pale One," he rumbled, his own voice melodious and deep. "You have returned me to my pack. You have given me back my life. I am Kale, son of Torn, and I owe you a debt that spans the stars." Lyra smiled weakly. "No debt, just promise me you'll remember. Remember what it felt like when I sang to you. Remember that connection. Don't let your people forget again." That night, as Lyra rested in the Lupari encampment, a sound split the darkness. It started as a single howl, deep, powerful, commanding. Then another joined it, and another, until the entire pack of 300 Lupari warriors was howling in unison. Commander Vex stood beside Lyra's shelter, his eyes closed, his head tilted back, and then for the first time in perhaps 1,000 years, he too began to howl. The sound carried across the frozen plains of Fenrir 7, across the mountains into the darkness of space itself. It was a song of gratitude, of remembrance, of something ancient awakening. In the command ship orbiting above, the other human members of the diplomatic expedition listened in wonder. "What's happening down there?" asked Captain Morrison. The ship's xenobiologist, Dr. Patel, wiped tears from her eyes as she listened. "They're remembering," she said softly. "We reminded them what it means to be alive, what it means to care. The Lupari haven't sung together like this in recorded history." On the surface, Lyra stepped out of her shelter, wrapped in a thermal blanket. Kale approached, his eyes gleaming in the moonlight. "The Alpha King wishes to see you," he said. "He has heard what you did. He has heard your song. Tonight he howls your name to the stars and all our people hear it. You have given us back something we thought was lost forever." Lyra looked up at the stars, at the vast expanse of the galaxy where thousands of species lived and died, where civilizations rose and fell like tides. Somewhere out there, humanity was still young, still learning its place among the ancient races. But tonight, on a frozen world at the edge of known space, a dying warrior had been saved not by technology or medicine, but by something far more powerful: the simple, profound human capacity to care. And across the snow-covered valley, the Alpha King howled her name again and again, teaching it to his people, ensuring they would never forget the pale human who sang life back into the darkness. The galaxy had seen many wonders, but it had never seen anything quite like humanity's gift: the ability to reach across the void not with weapons or words, but with the raw, unfiltered emotion that connected all living things. That night the Lupari remembered what they had forgotten, and the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter for it. The end.